Abusers or toxic people often use fear as a powerful tool to keep their victims trapped in the relationship. One of the main tactics they use is training their victims to fear their reaction, whether it's anger, guilt tripping, threats, or emotional manipulation. Over time, this fear becomes a form of control, and the victim feels like they can't escape because they are terrified of what will happen if they do. Here is how the training happens, step by step. Number one, they create emotional uncertainty. You see, from the beginning, the abuser may seem charming or loving, but their behavior starts to show signs of unpredictability. They will give you hope and affection one moment, then turn cold, distant, or even cruel the next. This emotional inconsistency keeps you on edge, unsure of what to expect. It makes you second guess your own perceptions and forces you to rely on them for emotional validation, setting the stage for fear of their reaction. You start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, not knowing what might trigger a negative response. Two, gaslighting and doubting your reality. An abuser will often use gaslighting to make you doubt your own experiences and feelings. They'll twist your words, deny things they've done or said, and convince you that your perception of reality is wrong. This leads you to question whether you're overreacting or being too sensitive. When you begin to lose trust in your own judgment, you become more dependent on the abuser's reaction to understand what's actually happening. This makes you fearful of their reaction to any disagreement or pushback because you're no longer sure if your feelings are valid. The next step is the third step is threatening consequences for disobedience. See, a big part of controlling behavior is making sure you are afraid of what might happen if you stand up for yourself. Ask for what you need or try to leave. This could be threats of emotional blackmail, like threatening to hurt themselves, destroy your reputation, or sabotage something you care about. Sometimes the threat is more subtle. You'll never find someone who loves you like I do, or if you leave, you'll regret it. The fear of these potential consequences keeps you compliant, as you believe that anything is better than their wrath. The first step is creating a cycle of reward and punishment. Many toxic relationships follow a pattern of intermittent reinforcement. Sometimes the abuser will be kind, giving you small rewards for compliance. Maybe they'll apologize or shower you with love and attention. But at other times, they will be cruel, neglectful, or verbally abusive. This inconsistent behavior confuses you, making you believe that if you just behave better or try harder, things will improve. You start to fear that if you challenge the abuser or assert yourself, the rewards will disappear and you'll be punished. This fear keeps you trapped in the cycle, always trying to please them to avoid negative reactions. The fifth step is by isolating you from support. An abuser often isolates their victim from family and friends. They may criticize or belittle your loved ones, making you feel guilty for spending time with them or try to convince you that no one else cares about you. This isolation deepens the victim's reliance on the abuser. They feel that they have no one else to turn to for support. The more isolated you are, the more you fear the abuser's reactions because you have nowhere to go. You begin to feel stuck and unable to leave, thinking you have no safety net. The sixth step is making you feel responsible for their feelings. You see, toxic people often make victims feel like they are responsible for their reactions. They might say things like, "Look what you made me do," or "If you loved me, you wouldn't make me so angry." This places all the emotional burden on you and creates a sense of guilt whenever you do something the abuser doesn't approve of. You are trained to believe that any emotional outburst from them is your fault, and you begin to tiptoe around them, doing whatever you can to avoid making them angry or upset. The first step is escalating fear with threats or aggression. You see, as time goes on, if the victim continues to push back or try to break free, the abuser may escalate their threats or aggression. This might involve yelling, physical intimidation, or more severe emotional abuse. The victim, now deeply conditioned to fear these outbursts, starts to stay compliant to avoid the escalation. The threat of physical harm, loss of security, or further emotional breakdowns creates a deep sense of paralysis in the victim, making it seem like staying in a toxic relationship is safer than leaving. So, now, why is it so hard to break free? This is why it's so hard to break free. The fear of the abuser's reaction becomes so ingrained that the victim can't imagine what life would be without their influence. Even if they recognize their abuse, they may feel like they don't have the strength or resources to leave. The trauma bond that forms in this dynamic is so powerful. Your fear of the abuser's reaction overrides your needs and desires. Over time, you start to believe that your own worth is tied to their approval, and breaking free feels impossible. So, how do you overcome this fear? It's important to recognize that the fear is a result of control tactics, not the reality of what will happen if you leave. The abuser's reaction is designed to intimidate and manipulate, but they don't define your worth or your right to leave. So, if you're in this situation, the first step is to find someone you trust, a friend, family member, or anyone who can validate your experiences and help you create a safety plan to live. You don't need to carry the weight of their reactions. Your feelings are valid and you deserve a life where you feel safe, respected, and loved. It might be hard at first, but the freedom you'll gain from leaving that fear behind is definitely worth it. I hope this helps someone today.